this game ends up going the distance here, simply because... Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to game number 3 of this potential best of 9. Spawning in the bottom left-hand position, representing Team Liquid.net. It is the blue Zerg player, Liquid TLO. Facing off against the little one this evening will be our incumbent King of the Hill. Currently winning twice. Can he extend his winning streak to 3, or will his teammate knock him out? The Red Terran in the top right-hand position of Overgrowth. It is Bunny, the King in the North. Trying to remember who the original King in the North was. Was it Naniwa? Or was someone called the King in the North prior to Naniwa? I think it was Naniwa. But I certainly remember that title being transferred to Bunny. Especially when he won G3 as well. I mean, that was just a sick finals. And the look on MC's face when he said, me versus Hyun in the semi-finals is the real final. Whoever faces off against Bunny is gonna cream him. And, well, we got news for you, man. That was a good weekend. Really enjoyed that. But let's not get carried away, guys. Once again, going to be starting off with the barracks prior to gas, I presume. Are we going to be taking gas, actually? Let's keep an eye on that. Are we going for a gasless expand here on Overgrowth from Liquid Bunny? We are going for the hatch first from TLO this time around. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be straight up gasless expand. Are we even going to see the command center on the low ground? That really would be quite bold. We saw almost an SCV getting taken out when putting a command center down on the low ground first time. And, well, there's the orbital command, there's the first marine, and there's the SCV. So we are going to be seeing that gasless expand. And I think the marine should get out here quickly enough that the overlord won't be able to see it, or at least get shooed away onto the high ground very early on. But the marine has opted to stay on the high ground here. So the overlord will get in, and we'll be able to scout this very quickly indeed. Behold, TLO vision in 3, 2, 1. Hark! Ein expansion! I'm sure is what TLO says every time he sees something like that. Right, and these marines are going to be able to go... Oh, hang on a second. The overlord's already here and already chilling out. So Bunny just letting TLO know that he definitely knows he's here. And all of a sudden, this overlord has gone over some high ground and these marines are completely flabbergasted. Which is why they require the help of a jet-powered building in order to locate and kill off the enemy. Obviously, completely and utterly reflecting the real-life scenario. Blood and guts, ladies and gents, everywhere. That actually looks like a Counter-Strike spray paint or something like that. Oh, I remember those. Good fun. And Bunny will be able to re-land that barracks. Of course, it hasn't been producing anything and hasn't been producing an add-on for quite some time. But as long as a is he going to do a reactor on there in time for this factory? It's going to have to be pretty quick. I think the factory is actually going to complete a shade beforehand, because it is going to be 10 seconds faster for that reactor. And now TLO, well, he's macroing up. He's gone up to 24 workers off of these two bases. You can see his queens are in position to start laying on creep and see how quickly he can get out to his defensive watchtower. That's going to be his goal now. Potentially to come sweep around the side as well, so that any flanks get seen very quickly indeed. There are the double creep tumor drops. And more and more queens are being built here. Just a very safe transition. No gas yet for TLO. So we'll wait and see what he wants to be doing and where he wants to be taking them. It looks like the two are getting taken in as natural first, so let's keep an eye on that potential tech. And indeed, look, a little bit of a 10-second delay there due to that extra marine from the barracks, and that extra marine just a little bit more of a safeguard from Bunny, because that barracks did actually float all the way over here to take out that overlord earlier on in the game. So he needs to make sure he has just a wee bit more defense here, and he does now have that. So a little delayed, but as you can tell, nothing catastrophic. TLO, in the meantime, he's gone, well, you've got the command center on the low ground there. Let me go ahead and see if I can sneak in a third hatchery pretty early on. Now, this could end up being quite bold. Bunny might be able to see this and go, oh, this wall is actually looking reasonably scary at the natural. We see the Roach Warren there as well. Interesting. And potentially go for a bit of aggression against the third base. I don't know if it's going to be against the third base, but it's certainly against something, because the armory, ladies and gentlemen, is coming in. We have medevacs from this starport with no add-on. We have Marines non-stop from this barracks, and we have double Hellions, and I can assure you they're not going to stay Hellions for long coming out of this factory. We have a Hellbat timing, ladies and gents, coming up here, and well, a third command center is going to go down. We see some Marines picked up in the medevac and being transported over. It doesn't look like it's going to be the world's largest attack. He's going to be macroing up behind this, but it could end up being fearful enough. TLO, in the meantime, he's got a nice Overlord spread here to be able to spot drops coming in from the left-hand side nice and early. Hasn't got that much vision to the right of his third base yet, but might not need it for now. Here comes the medevac, and TLO will spot it. It goes straight through this wall. So TLO already knows it's there. And we have a Roach to defend, but we also have 4 more Roaches to defend as well. And it looks like Lonely Roach will be able to enjoy some company very soon indeed. In the meantime, these Hellions try to get into natural expansion, will be denied. Got those double ups coming in from those evolution chambers, but no drones yet at the third base, although that could very shortly change indeed. There's a Roach. Bunny wasn't wanting to see a Roach, and there's another Roach and a drone. So the drone must be wondering what he did differently to have to harvest minerals all day long, but that's fine. Bunny now going back to the watchtower, and you know what, with only 3 Hellions, even if they become Hellbats here, we're not terribly worried about what this is going to do. So actually, this could have been a Hellbat play, but Bunny opting instead to make sure he macros up. He's transitioning into Cloak Banshees, look, and he's going to be able to safely get his third base landed. That's really what his goal here is going to be. And he's going to try and get some damage done at this third base, but again, these defensive Roaches from TLO are going to stop Bunny from doing just that. A little bit frustrating for him here. We have a Banshee trying to stop vision in the watchtower. Unfortunately, there are 2 Roaches here, and that could end up being a little bit difficult. So TLO happy to use these Roaches to stall for time as much as possible, but that Roach looked like it enjoyed getting massaged by the missiles on that Banshee. Unfortunately, it's going to derp itself to death. And holy smokes, that's a lot of stuff. Okay, so we have the Banshee prompting the Spore Crawlers, but bear in mind, these are Roaches, not Lings, so potential Hellbat aggression isn't actually going to do quite as much damage as we would expect, and I think that might be what Bunny's realizing now. He's going, well, hang on a second. Hellbats don't do nearly as much damage to Roaches as they do to Zerglings, even though they're still pretty good. I'm going to have to move back here and see if I can take the most cost-efficient engagement possible, because TLO looks like he's going for some super serious aggression right now. And to back this up, well, he's going to try and defend it at the ramp, but more and more Roaches are coming in. He's got double Thors coming out, and the Banshees are going to be able to help here as well, but he is going to have to sacrifice most of this Hellbat army in order to get the Roaches back out, by the looks of things. Scan going down to try and prevent these Roaches from burrowing and getting away with things, but it looks like actually TLO is going to gain the upper hand here. He's doing a pretty good job right now. Ooh, I tell you what, 3 Banshees, and you do actually have to start thinking about averting your Roach attack, because 3 volleys from those triple Banshees kills off a Roach. And yes, there are a lot of Roaches here, but it will be pretty quick. And well, TLO is trying to bait another scan, successfully baits another scan actually from Bunny there, and then moves away with the Roaches. That's actually not too bad. He gets 2 Roaches killed off, and he's saying, look, every time you kill 2 Roaches, I want you to waste a scan. And Bunny currently, I have to be honest, has been taking the bait. So is TLO going to bait him into doing another one? Well, I think if we have the burrow, another scan now is going to be pretty good, because we have got the Thor there as well. And TLO is going to take this engagement, trying to kill off as much as he can. There is the scan. Wow, double scan there. A little bit unnecessary, but I guess he just wants to make doubly sure that everything gets killed off. And oh, he has to pick that up before the scan finishes. He literally just did that, guys. I cannot tell you how unbelievably close that was. Bunny is going to be able to land his third base by the skin of his little bunny teeth. But he does it. Right. Now, we've got a little bit more tech in this game compared to the aggression games 1 and 2. We have the Infestation Pit and the Hydrogen already complete for TLO, so he's going to be going into Roach Hydra Infester, I guess, as an interim force here, potentially. I mean, we see the Hydra upgrades, but not really any Hydras on the field right now, but I'm sure they'll materialize soon, otherwise why would we be researching all of this? Bunny, in the meantime, is just going to be going straight up mech. We've got the 3 bases now down for him. Number of factories is up to 5, so that's looking pretty hunky-dory. Wow, and it doesn't look like TLO wants to give him much time to breathe at all. All of these roaches coming in. This is exactly... so I can tell you what TLO is trying to do right now, although he's going to be able to get this army cleaned up. He needs to constantly trade against this mech. And the reason he needs to constantly trade against this mech... Oh, wow, excellent micro there, actually, with the medevac on those Thors. And TLO is actually forced to retreat a little bit prematurely, but he's going to be able to repair those. So what TLO is trying to do right now, he wants to constantly trade off against this mech army. Because once this mech army gets to about, I don't know, 170 or 180 supply, especially with a couple of siege tanks in the mix, it becomes very, very scary. But in small numbers, it's really not that bothersome. And the roaches, oh, once again, hero medevac. This girl is doing so, so well. Best pilot EU, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent micro there from Liquid Bunny. And he's going to be able to prevent this aggression. Now, TLO is going to be a bit annoyed with that. He wants to kill off as many individual straggling units as possible, because at the end of the day, he doesn't want this mech army to form a big death ball. These SCVs have been repairing each other. Get back to work, mate. The injured Thor's over here. What are you doing? And we have the roaches coming back in for another go. They're going to try and pick off a Thor. Oh, they're finally going to get there. Hero medevac is not going to be able to save that Thor today. But enough Thors are here now that I actually think Bunny's going to be self-sustaining in a bit. He's got +2 attack for the mech actually completing very, very shortly as well. And these Hellbats cost substantially less than the Thors. We've got SCVs following them, healing them up as well. So I think he'll be okay. TLO, in the meantime, he's got a hit squad of roaches moving to the left-hand side. Will spot that there's no 4th base down, and potentially move in towards a 3rd base. Now, if this gets sieged up, it could end up being a bit difficult. I'd like to see it siege up about here. And, well, here we go. Here come the roaches. Picking off the missile turret so that he can potentially burrow in peace here at the 3rd. Nope, turns out he's just going to kill the missile turret and the bunker and leave straight away. A scan to check if indeed it's going to be burrowed, but it's not. TLO has actually made his exit already, and that is starting to look like a big, scary mech army. +2 attack is complete. I believe still only the 1 armory, so he can't use those double ups right now. Let's see if he goes +3 attack, or if he instead is going to be going for some armor. Now, this is very scary. The DPS from this is huge. Look at how many Thors are in this army right now. There are a grand total of 6 of them. And this is going to be very, very difficult to break. We've got the Hellbats to buffer for damage. We have the Banshees to rain DPS down from the skies. And we have the Thors behind it all to not only soak up damage, but try and pick off any air resistance as well. That's an awful lot. Excellent Blinding Cloud to start off with, though. And they're on the Siege Tanks as well. Siege Tanks are going to be doing so much damage. That's really, really crucial to the beginning of this engagement. TLO at the moment at 169, Supply Burst at 162. And he's going to be able to roll over this because the Blinding Clouds were just so effective, and Bunny didn't reposition his tanks. I think that means TLO is going to comfortably get an advantage and probably the game here, because it takes so long to resupply that mech army here in game number 3. TLO at the moment is making Bunny real. And yes, the Banshees are unanswered, sure, but the entire mech army has died. It's only the Banshees that are left right now. The 4th command center gets stopped in his track. Oh, he's able to pick up the siege tank at the 3rd as well. And really, really excellent value engagement army. He kills the missile turret, and he's able to burrow too. A scan is going to be forced to kill off these last 2 remaining. Oh my god, he doesn't even kill them off. Bunny at the moment in such a difficult position. TLO has played this beautifully, slowly waiting for Bunny's army to move out across the map, trying to trade as much as he could. When he couldn't trade anymore and he realized the army was too scary, he just patiently waited. And he waited until he had a good opportunity, basically just as we get to creep, to have that engagement. Excellent Blinding Clouds as well from the Vipers. With a combination of those roaches and hydras, and that was enough to beat Bunny back. And right now, well, Bunny's just going to have to try and rebuild the mech army as quickly as he can. He hasn't really got any alternative right now. The Banshees do a good job of checking things out from the skies here, but the siege tank count completely reset. The Thor count nowhere near as scary as it was before. We've basically got the Hellbats and the Banshees right now. That's really where this game is at. And TLO is currently maxed out versus the 140 supply of Bunny. So I'm not really sure what Bunny can do right here. He has to take a dream engagement and keep his mech army alive. He cannot afford to trade right now. TLO is also starting to build a bank as well because he's at 200 right now. So this could just end up being very difficult and very unpleasant indeed. I wonder if a strategy for Bunny might be to make a Viking or 2. Oh, and there we go. It started. Yes. Cool. I will officially call myself Sage. Of course, the idea is the Viking heads out just in front of the army and tries to take out the Overseer so that the Banshees can absolutely rain hell on the Hydralisks. I guess on the Roaches as well, but the Hydras are a big target before they can do substantial damage. Looks like the Roach Hydra pushing into the third base. He got great value out of these 2 tanks, but now the defenses here are a little bit limited. He's going to be forced to trade if he continues to push in, but TLO looks like he's fine for now. Just wanted to kill off the tanks and then reassess his options from there. This command center cannot land right now in this position. The army from TLO is simply too big, but Bunny is recouping. He's back up to 169 supply. He's got the +2 attack, although he's actually stopped all other upgrades. And TLO is at 2-2 army supply. So yes, mech is scary, but he's now 2 upgrades behind, and he's moving down, and the tanks aren't sieged up. This could be disastrous for him as TLO moves in, and Bunny instantaneously goes down to about 150 supply and loses this command center. I don't think he could have afforded that. He's still at 165 supply, but TLO potentially can trade now. He's building up a bank of 2,000. And yes, he's decided to absolutely go for it. Let's see how this works. Blinding Clouds on most of the siege tanks, doing a fantastic job. Oh my goodness! What a fantastic and efficient use of mana. And Bunny just isn't being able to micro back out of this at all. GG! And Bunny is defeated. TLO is going to be moving on in this series by a scoreline of 2-1, winning the game on Overgrowth. Congratulations to TLO. Of course, this is a best of 9 though. It's not a best of 5. Nobody is on match point yet. Wow.